Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for tuning in. This is the inaugural first ever episode of the Pink Power Hour. I am joined here with Russell Taylor at RTGZX10R. He is a crypto trader, shot caller, and all-around boss. Been friends with him for a minute, so go ahead and introduce yourself, Russell.
What's up, guys?
So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Russell. Introduce yourself. Tell them who you are.
Sure. So my name is Russell Taylor. I'm a crypto trader full-time, mostly a technical analyst. I came from banking. I did 3 years in banking, so I'm really familiar with math, and I kind of came at this with a purely math and technical perspective. So you'll notice anybody knows my calls. Usually I call out pretty precise math and numbers, and I've had some pretty good luck with the BTC calls lately, so that's what I do.
Nice. So I'll let everybody know I've known Russell for a couple months now. Actually, I catfished the shit out of him. We were talking before I came out as Big D Shaggy J, poker player. I was talking to him as Big D Shaggy J, and he didn't know I was Crypto Casey till about, I guess, a month and a half ago. And so yeah, we were talking, chatting back and forth, kind of sharing information about some calls, some whatever. And I've just kind of had a great experience with him. He's a pretty solid stand-up dude, one of what I perceive to be the good guys in crypto. So I wanted to get him on this show and highlight, some of the good people that weren't necessarily developers or people that you might have known or heard about. He's slowly starting to get a following. People are starting to see that his calls are on point. His analysis is very solid, and so I invited him on here to be our first guest. Also, some of you may not know that he's from California originally, but he moved out to Hawaii about a month ago, I want to say, maybe less than that. And he lives on the Big Island. I live on Oahu, so we have not yet got to hang out in person yet. But he's over here enjoying this beautiful paradise weather. Currently, we're sweating our balls off. I don't know about you over there on Big Island, but I'm sweating bullets over here on Oahu, man.
Man, all I've been wearing was just board shorts and tank tops when I first moved here. It's starting to cool down a little bit now. They're getting closer to September, but it was definitely like you described.
Yeah, man, just trying to take advantage of these trade winds, which aren't helping us out right now. They're just stagnant, stale air and just hot, man, just sweaty. So if you see me just dripping sweat, man, just please ignore it. I might towel myself off once or twice. But yeah, so welcome to the show, Russell. Also, I wanted to let everyone know, since it's the first show, I'm not just going to be focusing on crypto in the entirety of this show's. I want to talk about other things outside of crypto. I mean, crypto is going to be a general focus because we're all in crypto. I'm sure most of these viewers are in crypto, but I wanted to kind of shed light on some other things that are interesting, that I perceive to be interesting in the world and in life. But we're going to start this episode off with what's relevant, and that's crypto. So, why don't you go ahead and share with us some of the most recent things that you've been doing in crypto, Russell?
Yeah, so pretty much I've been doing mostly BTC calls. I've been kind of out of the alt game, slowed down. Yesterday I got back in a little bit, and I've just been sticking with the good ones, had some nice low buys, being real patient, and I just let those fill. If they don't, it's no big deal. And I've been doing a little bit of tutoring sessions with TA, and yeah, just when I see a good call and I feel comfortable with it, I'll put it up on my Twitter, and just been doing that and socializing, meeting new people.
Yeah, so for those of you who are unaware, I recommend to go check out his Twitter. It's right here in his undertitle. He's got some pretty spot-on, accurate calls for Bitcoin over the last couple of weeks. He's calling bottoms, calling tops, and if you really want to improve your portfolio a little bit and want to stay away from the volatility of altcoins and get a little trading experience, I would recommend giving him a follow and kind of paying attention to what he's saying, because he's one of the people that I respect the most and one of the people that I think is the most spot on with his calls. Not necessarily saying that you should follow him to a T and do everything he's doing, but definitely pay attention. He's got some very good insight as to what the direction of the flow of the Bitcoin markets are doing. So yeah, go ahead and give the man a follow and definitely pay attention. So can you tell us a little bit about why you're kind of staying away from the altcoin scene right now? What's kind of changed your mind and why are you kind of sticking with Bitcoin?
I feel like it's just easier to predict for the most part. It tends to follow more predictable waveforms in general. There's plenty of good altcoins around, like Pinkcoin's great. There's a couple of really legit ones that I do have some low buy set right now, but I'd say about 90% of my portfolio right now is in BTC. I got pretty familiar with margin trading, so I've been doing a little bit of that on Bitfinex. And for the most part, there's so many scams. It just if you look at Altcoin Herald, they track the percentages. It's like 23% of the altcoins that were made in, I think, July it was, actually stuck around. And that's just insane. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm a numbers person.
Scams.
That's a bad percentage. So I didn't even touch any of the new ones because it's just so hard to tell. I'm not a programmer. I don't read GitHub or anything like that. And that's the main reason. So I've just been sticking with the legitimate ones. You know, I got some Pinkcoin. Sync's pretty good. Via seems to be okay. Cloak seems to be legit. But there's just not, just trying to stay away from anything that could be sketchy. Just trying to keep it safe.
There's just too many variables, not enough volume and liquidity, and there's so many unforeseen circumstances that can come about in the altcoin world. And I definitely hear what you're saying, man. I've experienced it myself. I'm sure a lot of these viewers have as well. So just in the interest of risk management, it seems like stick with what you know, stick with where the action is, what's predictable, and do yourself a favor if you're trying to trade profitability-wise, day trade. Do your research and stick to where the liquidity and the volume is. I guess is kind of what I'm gathering from what you're saying, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, cool. So I've seen some of your most recent calls on Bitcoin. You've pretty spot on called the top and the bottom of some of the most recent swings. I guess I saw you called 450 for the bottom, which I think it touched exactly 450, and you've made some pretty spot on calls. Can you tell us a little bit about without maybe divulging your secret sauce? Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing to come up with such accurate calls and why yours are better than other people's?
Sure. So it's just pretty much following the wave structure and being familiar with that.
When you're saying wave structure, can you elaborate a little bit about that for viewers that may not know?
Sure.
What that means?
Yeah. Do you want me to do a screen share? I can show you, but I can explain it verbally too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So by wave structure, I'm going to show my screen here. I'm using the Wall Street cheat sheet. That thing's pretty awesome. And you can see right here what that is. I know a lot of guys see that on Twitter, but it just shows and explains the perception with each movement. So this thing is amazing. So I use this a lot, and I lined this up with BTC, tracked every single movement, double checked it, and on top of that, I'm using some really specific math and kind of some secret sauce there, but pretty much what I'm doing. So if I pull up what those trades look like, I'll show you right here. This was one of the first ones I made in July, and this one was spot on too. So I'm tracking the waveform. So by waveform, what that means is you can see here these peaks line up, and then the drop, and this follows the waveform very, very closely. So I knew from this sucker's rally right here, we're going to get two big dips, and lined that up and came up with about 450, and it came to be pretty close to that. I think Stamp hit 442, and then a couple of the real specific calls I had as well. So that's what I mean by wave structure.
Okay, cool. That's some great insight. I know a lot of people hear these words and they kind of have some sort of idea and familiarity of what it may mean, but I just wanted to kind of get some explicit knowledge for those that are watching or listening, because wave structure is a pretty generic term. So you're essentially using that Wall Street cheat sheet as a general guideline for how to proceed in what stage of the market the coin is in.
Yeah, I think it's very helpful. And then there's a couple of wave structures you can compare other things to, but yeah, that's the majority of it.
And so you're kind of using that as like a guideline, and then using math to fine tune your calls, right?
Yep.
That's great, man. So Can you tell us a little bit about like how this is? I mean, obviously it's you're using Bitcoin because it's more accurate and more stable, more predictable. And with altcoins, what's the difference between Bitcoin and altcoin when using these things?
As far as the wave structure goes?
Yeah, as far as wave structure, as far as your calls, like accuracy, what's been your experience, I guess?
Well, some of them actually follow very closely, actually. I would say if there's a decent amount of volume, the structure usually holds pretty accurately to that. If it's a lower volume, it can be way sporadic. But yeah, it just depends on the liquidity of the market and the overall volume, I would say.
Okay. So, what other projects are you working on? I know you got some exciting things in the works that we kind of talked about privately. You can share what you want with the general public, but I know you have some real exciting projects, particularly. I guess you have a bot you're working on, an arbitrage bot, right? Could you share some information with us about that?
Sure. So I teamed up with a developer. He's a professional programmer for a big beer company, and he does basically technical analysis programming, makes programs that analyze things. He's very talented, and basically we came up with this team where he could code kind of what I was thinking and add his own spin to it. So what we did was we came up with something called YodaBot, and I'll show you on the screen share.
I love that name. That's
yeah, it's exciting. So I can't wait for this thing to be fully finished. It's almost done, and I'll show you here on a screen share what that does, what it looks like. So it's an arbitrage bot, as well as it'll be a trade bot, and it won't be anything like anything that's out there right now because of both those features together, and it has a different way of trading than most other bots do. But this is a screen share of Minerals. This is the beta test we did for it. We only put in about $1,000, and in an hour to 2 hours, it made $300 just arbitraging Minerals, only that one coin by itself, only off of Bittrex and Polo.
So can you explain a little bit to those viewers who may not know what arbitrage is and how that works?
Sure. So what it's doing is it's basically tracking every 10 seconds it reads the price across every exchange for whatever coin you're doing, and it scalps. So if one exchange has a price at, say, 5,000 and the other exchange has a price at 7,000, it will immediately sell at 6,000 and buy at 5,000 on the other exchange. So you're constantly making a percentage gain without any risk, essentially.
So is it sending these coins to the exchange from one to the other immediately, or is it already has the Bitcoin and the coins on both exchanges and just kind of operating?
Yeah, it does both. So it auto-balances your wallets. So what it'll do is, right now we're hooked up on Bittrex, Polo. We have a request to get in the MinPal API, but since they switched over to Moolah, that's might take a little bit of time. We're working on some other exchanges as well. So ideally, I'd like to have every exchange possible on there. And yeah, it'll auto-balance your wallet, so it spreads everything across evenly. If one wallet gets bigger than another one, it will auto-balance that for you, so it has the ability to send and receive coins across exchanges. So it's basically just does all the work for you as far as that goes.
Nice, and that's pretty exciting. So how long have you been working on this?
Right now, about 2 months.
2 months, wow. So you put a lot of time and effort into this thing, huh?
Yeah, I would say the coder is probably doing the most of the work. I pretty much just wrote down all of my ideas and what it should do, what it should not do, and kind of the general concepts for it. And it's pretty much trading on wave structure and math for the most part, which is quite a bit different than most other bots. Yep.
Yeah. What are the other bots out there? Because I'm not familiar with bots. I don't really look into that side of the crypto world. Could you share with us a little bit about what's out there, maybe?
Sure. So I've tried Hossbot for one. That one basically uses indicators like a moving average, EMAs, SMAs. You can use a stock RSI indicator, which are your traditional indicators, which are fine. They're just not as fine-tuned and precise as using math with wave structures, I would say. So that one was okay. I don't really use it anymore. It's just a good trader is going to be better than a bot, hands down.
Yeah.
And I haven't tried any arbitrage bots. I don't think there's maybe one or two out there, but I haven't tried those yet. And I know there's a bot in the I think Quatlu coin. If you buy a certain amount of the coins, you can get the bot there. Yeah, so there's a couple other ones on the market too.
All right, cool. Well, my experience with bots, I don't really have any in the crypto world. I don't have any actual hands-on experience myself. What I do know about bots is in poker, there were always people that were afraid that because I come from a background of poker. I played online poker for 8 years, seven or 8 years. That's my background and how I got into crypto, and shit is just kind of from playing poker it expounded into a need for crypto, and then I started seeing markets, started seeing patterns, started seeing the relevance and how it correlated. And so in poker, most sites prohibit bots, and they solely because of the perception of individuals, they don't want to play against artificial intelligence and machine, and so they essentially outlawed bots after like a year or two. Most sites, anyways, all the respectable, reputable ones. And so I wasn't actually able to experience anything with the bot hands-on. I think that it's very beneficial in something like a crypto market. Just because if you want liquidity and volume, this will help at it. Also, human is way better than human intelligence, in my opinion, in my experience, is way better than artificial intelligence, like you mentioned. Like an intelligent and experienced trader is going to do much better than a bot, most likely, with the exception of maybe one that's kind of hybrid, a trader intelligence with artificial intelligence. And so I think a lot of people out there were just kind of in the poker world were just had fear. They're like, okay, I can't beat a computer. I don't even want to try. So let's just push to get it outlawed. Whereas in this space, obviously it's unregulated. It's all decentralized. No one controls anything. So I think there's a definite I don't want to say underworld, but a different world apart in the crypto sphere that people don't even realize is out there, and one of those is bots. One of those is most definitely bots. A lot of people you see on Twitter saying, "Oh, is there a bot in this market now? Like, look at all this volume. It's got to be faked or whatever it may be." And so sometimes that's true. Sure, that's accurate. But also there's a need. I think there's definitely some of these markets are just so ripe for profit, and a lot of people are just too lazy or unintelligent to exploit that, and also it creates volume. So I think in the crypto world at this stage, there's definitely some necessity or some opportunity, if it were, to get some artificial intelligence in there and kind of helping speed up the evolution of the crypto game, as it were.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people work full-time jobs too. You know, they don't have the time to sit there and watch things, and a bot really helps those kind of people because you can just run it while they're at work. You know, especially with having a stop loss, and if it's a good bot and you got the settings set up right, you know, they can work pretty well.
Yeah, and actually, now that you brought that up, but actually, there's even more of a need in my mind because the way that these markets work in crypto is like things are so short term. Like a coin might be in profit for 20 minutes, and then in the next 20 minutes it might just lose its ass. You know, it might go like minus 30 or 70%. It might lose 70% of value within 15 minutes because of some information came out, and you weren't around to take advantage of it. You're left holding a bag. So in that regard, I think there's a tremendous need for it, just because of the nature of all currencies and how many short-sighted ventures there are out there. How many coins are released every day where there's no direction, there's just initial hype, and they're made to essentially pump and dump and more or less scam the community for money. So with that regard, I think that there is a general need for something like this to protect people if people aren't capable of making stop losses or know how to use that. So I think there's a need and an opportunity and a demand for it, and here you are satisfying that demand.
Yeah.
So you just shared a screen with us. You want to tell us a little bit about what that was, and maybe share that again? It was looked like a wallet, right?
Yeah. Let me pull it up again. Just get a little more comfortable here. So let me share the screen. So what that was, yes, that was the wallet feature. So we just got that finished, and we pull this up. So what this is showing you here, it's showing you two different wallets across Polo and Bittrex. So it's showing the market price of these specific coins. This is an example. It's not necessarily what we're trading.
Yeah.
So you got a couple different coins here. You got VRC, XMR, BC, DIS, BTC. So it shows you the BTC price of it, shows you the count, how many coins you have of that coin, the BTC value of it real time. It'll update constantly, and the USD value of it. So it's much easier to track. On top of that, it will auto balance the wallets across exchanges and give you up to date every about 10-20 second updates of what the USD value of it is with the BTC value.
Nice. That and you're saying that this will auto balance across exchanges depending on parameters that you set yourself, or are there the default parameters that come into play with it?
This thing's really easy to use. It's pretty much plug and play, but you can change the parameters if you'd like. So what it will do is basically auto balance the wallets across evenly. So if you have, let's say you're on 3 exchanges, it'll balance 33% on one, 33% on another, etc. And then wallets arbitraging or trading, if one wallet becomes bigger than the other one, it'll send some more coins over to the other ones to balance that out more. So that way, if one exchange is constantly trading at a higher or lower price, you can take full advantage of those arbitrage opportunities and making those percentage gains real time.
Gotcha. That's pretty neat, man. That's pretty awesome. So I'm not sure if you had this information or if you want to divulge, but like how far out are you? What's the ETA on this thing?
I was just talking to the developer, and like I said, he works a full-time job, and this is kind of a part-time thing for him. So he thinks it should be done in about 3 weeks to a month, should be fully operational. He's already got it running on his computer, but he's putting it up on the cloud and getting everything finished right now.
Yeah, you gotta beta test the shit out of it, make sure there's no kinks, especially if you plan on releasing it to the public.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what are your plans with that? Are you gonna put it for sale? Are you gonna add a special feature for something? Like how can somebody attain this if they were wanting to? And I know you probably haven't really put too much thought into this, or maybe you have and you're just kind of experimenting. But what do you think is the route you're gonna take with this?
Yeah, we're definitely going to market it. We're definitely going to have it available to the public. I haven't decided on the price yet. Obviously, I don't want everybody and their mom with this thing because it would kind of dilute even my ability to use it. So because it's a premium product, it's not going to be super cheap. So I have no idea exactly what the price will be, but I'll give you an update when I got that figured out.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, definitely keep us updated and maybe post a tweet. I'll retweet it. We'll get it on the website, whatever. Well, thank you very much for sharing your what you've been working on. I know it's probably proprietary stuff, and I think it's going to be advantageous for whoever buys it, obviously. Especially if you're making profits like you mentioned with your mineral trades. You're putting $1,000 in, making $200 to $300 in a couple hours. That's pretty impressive, especially on a market with such low liquidity. So I can only imagine what's going to happen when you get that thing running and you get it playing with a market that has liquidity and volume.
The goal is to get it up on some of the higher volume exchanges and start doing arbitrage with the higher volume coins, because that's where the real money is. Even if you're only making 3, 4, 5, 6% per swap, if you're doing enough of the BTC, I mean that adds up pretty quick.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Speaking of exchanges, man, you've been around the game for a little bit now. What are your thoughts on these exchanges, man? Like MintPal kind of shit the bed with the whole VRC rollback. Bittrex is kind of getting a bad name because of all the scam coins that they're releasing. They're just releasing IPOs, not doing any research, and then it comes out that everyone's losing their ass on these things. Polo's kind of lost volume and interest, and there's really the exchanges are kind of losing a lot of their leverage and their credibility. So give me your thoughts on what's going on in this world, man. What do you think's going on?
Sure. So yeah, you're right on point with Bittrex. They definitely just add anything and everything. They don't do any research. It's pretty disgusting, actually. It's definitely doesn't make them look good. It is partly on the trader not to just go buy everything they throw up there. It's definitely not the smart thing to do. But yeah, I mean, I started off on a little bit of everything. Obviously, all the volume is on MintPal, so I did a little bit on MintPal, a little bit on Bittrex. And as far as the interface goes, I like Bittrex. The interface isn't bad. You can set conditional orders, stop losses, things like that. The key with them is just don't go buy everything that they add. I mean, you're going to get, percentage-wise, mathematically, you're going to lose because they add so much crap. So you really got to do your research. I would say as a trader, you really got to know your strengths and weaknesses. Somebody like me, it's more of a technical analyst, math guy. I can do research and read forums and things like that, but I'm not a coder, so I have a couple friends that can read GitHubs and code and things like that, and I like to work with them. So I think as a trader, it's important to know your strengths and weaknesses, and if you have a weakness, reach out to people that can help you and learn from that.
Yeah, definitely. Teamwork and collaborate, and fill those gaps, man. And strengths and weaknesses are so important to realize, like, in everything. Like, I like to relate everything to poker because I have so much experience in it, and it's very important to analyze yourself and to take a step back and have a crystal clear not a crystal clear image, because you can't really have a crystal clear image of yourself, but take an honest look at what you're capable of, what your strong points are, what your weaknesses are, and try to fill those gaps as much as possible and make your weaknesses your strengths, and go out and communicate with people in these worlds, and try to either have a team that you can kind of defer to, and whose strengths are your weaknesses, or go out and learn, get coaching, read forums, read articles, whatever it may be, to kind of improve upon your weaknesses and make them your strengths. Because I mean, let's be honest, one weakness your weaknesses can definitely be the downfall. This market moves so quickly that if you're ego-driven and you're one of these guys that doesn't have a realistic expectation of or a plan of action in these coins, and your coin that you're holding goes below your purchase price, and you're like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to ride it out because this thing is not going to go any lower, and you're not really taking a realistic assessment of who the developers are, what the direction is, what their game plan is. You may just be stuck holding a bag and losing 98% on coins, and I'm sure you've experienced it. I've experienced it. We've all been there. It's a tough pill to swallow, but I definitely think that you're on the right page here with getting a team and getting some people you can trust, and kind of sharing information, if you will, and doing your homework.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, who are some people out there that you trust? What is your team, if you will, if you don't mind sharing? Because it's always good to share good information and shine a light on those people that are helping the industry and not out there just to scam people.
Sure. So recently I just kind of teamed up, just only like on one or two trades so far, but with Full HD Pixel. He seems to know his stuff. Really nice guy.
He makes some great websites too, man. Yeah, he's a great coder with websites.
Yeah. He's a good guy. So him, I got a couple other guys that I probably shouldn't mention yet, but I would say he's awesome. So if you have a question or anything like that, he's the guy to ask, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then as far as other people that I follow, I would say Smokin' 35's legit. I think Frisbee for some of those altcoin picks, and let's see who else here. There's a couple other guys here. Let's see. I don't really have too many that come to mind right now. I don't really listen to. I would definitely like to say, as a newer trader, don't just go listening to every single person on there.
Yes.
As a newer trader, when I was brand new, I used to just follow people. Oh, this person had 2,000 followers. He must know what he's doing. And there's a lot of people out there that are going to tell you to buy something and dump on you. You know, I think everybody knows who Iconic Expert is. That guy's probably got one of the dirtiest names out there as far as people knowing he's a sketchball. So that's a perfect example. Don't just go following everybody, you know. Before you follow their trades, try to at least get a track record idea of what they're doing first, and make sure they're actually giving you good advice first. So
yeah, and a lot of the people everything is public information. There's tweets. These tweets are available. You can go back a week, a month. You can go back on their tweets. You can go back on the charts, and you can kind of look at them side by side and see when they made a call and what the price did before that and after that. And generally, you can see that within 10, 20 minutes of people making these calls, the price may go up like for the 10 minutes after the call because people are panic buying, but afterwards that shit's dumping. And generally, I'm gonna bring it back to poker again. You kind of evaluate every street in poker, trying to see if the story makes sense. And if the story doesn't make sense, then obviously the person's bluffing. You want to make a call, whatever. But in crypto, it's very, very similar. These people are painting a picture. There's a story that they're representing with their tweets, and generally there's a reason. There's a reason for their action. There's a reason why they're tweeting, "Oh, buy this coin. It's the next 20x. It's the next whatever." Because they're already in the coin. They've got it at a cheap price, and they're hoping that they can get you guys, people. I mean, not you guys particularly, but their followers to buy into it and help them raise the price a lot, in which case they can exit in your face. And that's happening a lot. I mean, Iconic Expert is the perfect example, and I've actually gotten into some public disputes with him over his practices and how much of a scumbag he is. For those of you who don't know, he was a part of Blackcoin initially, not directly involved, I don't think, but he was preaching, doing some Wall Street event where he was bringing World Blackcoin Day or something and having a bunch of people distribute Blackcoin cards and Blackcoin and wearing T-shirts for Blackcoin and having this whole media event on Wall Street directly to get big money people invested. He accepted donations of, I'm not sure the exact amount. He claims it was like 6,000, but I think the goal was like 30,000. He accepted donations, took them, and then he, after like a day or I'm not sure, like a few days after the announcement of him accepting donations, he decided he had had enough with Blackcoin, dipped out, kept the donations, didn't return them. A couple weeks later, he decided he was going to tell everyone that he donated them to charity without seeing any proof of his donation. He just unilaterally decided without confirming with any of the donators, which I believe in legal terms is misappropriation of funds, but since it's crypto, who knows if it's what the deal is. But yeah, he just kind of took investors' money, claimed he donated it, and then left Blackcoin. And since then, he was part of Liberty Coin, where he was pumping in people's faces, got the price tremendously high, and then exited. And now Liberty Coin's a dead coin. Yep. He was a part of VRC for a minute, I believe, pumping it. I'm not sure if he's actually a part of it, but he was pumping it. I think his recent ones are like Use Cluster, xCloud, HAL. He's got a bunch of coins he's just pumping. But yeah, he's one of the guys that I would stay away from always. I think there's a few other ones like him. I think the Blonde 82 is probably up there for me. Whenever I see her tweet something, I make sure I'm not invested in whatever she's tweeting because I know it's going to dump within 10 minutes.
You can use to your advantage these people actually because you know if they say to buy something, that might be a good exit. So that's one good strategy for sure.
Yeah, that's if you're already invested. I mean, these people are generally just on that new coin, whatever's the newest thing out there that they can make a lot of money off of. They're invested in it day one. I don't know if they know the developers or they're getting inside information or whatever it may be, but they're out there solely for their own gain. And it's not just limited to these two people. So I would encourage people not to blindly listen to traders online on Twitter because they generally have some sort of a reason for telling you to buy. I mean, unless there's technical analysis and there's charts and there's information and there's something that you can that's tangible that you can see and you can research, I wouldn't blindly listen to anybody. When somebody says buy this, it's the next 20x. Please do your research and don't just buy into that shit because you're gonna lose a lot. It's gonna be a tough lesson, expensive lesson, and you're gonna be jaded by the market. So I would encourage any and everybody out there to not just blindly listen, do your research, and ask yourself why they're tweeting this. Why is this information out there? Why is it relevant? Are they trying to boost their own ego? Are they trying to boost their own coin and exit, make more money? Like what's the reason? Because there's always a reason.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I almost forgot one other guy I follow too for TA. I don't listen to too many people on TA, but I'll pull it up real quick on the screen share if that's okay. So Zach with Zero Value, he's legit. He's a good follower, good person to follow. And then, what's that?
Could you repeat his name?
Yeah, Zach with Zero Value, he's legit. I'll pull up on a screen share real quick. Share that. There we go. Crypto Main's real good. And then the other guy was...
I like him.
Yep. He's a real honest guy. And he's very talented.
Too, I think. I'm pretty sure he's from Kelowna, BC, my home state, or my home province, if you will.
Yeah, he is. The other guy was Zach with Zero Value.
And yeah, another guy I like is Nusii, N-U-S-E-I-I. He seems like a really good, honest person. He's got some good analysis and puts it out there.
Yep, I'll pull that one up too. So I got Crypto Main here. You can follow him at Crypto Main, M-A-Y-N, Main. Zach is Zero Value, Zero Value Inc. And then the other one I think is N-U-S-E-I-I. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Most definitely. He's somebody I like to keep abreast on. He's got a lot of good insight into the industry. and there's a lot of guys out there who are good follows, and offer good advice with some evidence to back it up, not just pure speculation. And that's what it's all about, man. It's because this is gambling. Let's be honest. Everything in life is a gamble. Everything in markets is a gamble. If you don't have evidence or factual knowledge or a good fundamental understanding of the way markets move, and you're just listening to people, you're just gambling. It's a high risk decision and investment. So, with that said, just continue to do your own research. When somebody mentions something, if you think it's valid, look into it a little more. Don't just blindly click the buy button and send BTC to Bittrex. The prices are going to come down always. You're not going to miss the boat. I mean, you might miss a short-term gain, but you're going to protect yourself from much bigger short-term losses. So don't just panic buy or panic. Don't panic ever. Patience is key in this thing.
Definitely. Yeah, the other thing, too, I'd like to add for sure is never market buy or market sell. Place your orders. Just be patient. That was probably one of the hardest things to learn for me, and I think that's normal for humans, is just being patient. It's especially when you got a lot of money in there on the line. It's hard to be patient, but just set some lower orders, spread it out. Don't do one order. Set like quite a few orders. Don't be afraid to do 6 orders. Just spread that out. That way, if it tanks, you got some orders on the bottom at least to catch it, and you can spread your risk around like that too. So that's helpful.
Yeah, and also something that I've learned, and I'm sure you've learned as well, I think we kind of discussed it yesterday, is the order book. It's misleading. I mean, the order book is essentially people representing a story, and there's a lot of bluffing going on. You see these massive, 40 Bitcoin, 20 Bitcoin, 15 Bitcoin buy orders at one price. That's for a reason. It's to make people think that there's support, and they're going to lift it, or they're going to. I mean, generally. It may actually be a legitimate order 1% of the time, but generally speaking, it's there to serve a purpose, and it's there to kind of get people to think one way or another. And so I would advise people to really think about what the story is representing by when there's a giant buy or sell order. And generally, sell orders is to suppress the price, buy orders is to kind of boost the price and kind of make a pump happen.
Definitely, yeah. The order book is just a lot of bluffing for sure. I'm sure you know all about that from poker, but I don't even read the order books, man. The charts already have it in there. The chart is a visual representation of what people are doing on the order book after it happens. So the order book, there can be a lot of misleading stuff in there. I've gotten into a lot of trouble picking, a target to buy or picking a target to sell, and then I look at the book and then I kind of second guess myself. So I'd recommend, as long as it fits your trading style. For me, I just don't even read the order book. I don't even bother really.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I used to get caught up in the beginning. I much like you, market bought a lot, panic bought, panic sold. Would use the order book and see where there's a large buy at, and I'd probably generally put my orders above that buy just so I could get the coins before them in case they didn't dump or didn't fall to the price that I was looking to buy it, and generally lost some coin and did some bad trading, and I've learned a lot of lessons. I'm sure anybody who's been in this game for 5 or 6 months has the same experience, and just man, learn from our mistakes.
Definitely.
So let's shift the topic a little bit, man. Let's get away from this trading and talk some scams and stuff. I know that you mentioned that you got into crypto. You didn't mention how you got into crypto, but you mentioned that you were in banking prior to this. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into crypto and what kind of piqued your interest? What was the deciding factor that made you go, fuck it, I'm getting in this game? What intrigued you about it?
Yeah, definitely. So coming from banking, I understood the dollar, how money's created by the Fed, printed, all that, and it just kind of disgusted me. And I liked doing it for a couple of years. But at the end of the day, I realized my heart's not in it. I wanted to do something else, and I really wanted to be self-employed. So that's when I made the jump. My friend told me about crypto, mentioned Bitcoin, I think in September 2013, and I first looked at it like he was crazy. I was like, what are you talking about? Internet money? That's stupid. And then I read everything I could find and started tracking the price. And back then the price was fairly stagnant, around $120, I think. Mm-hmm. Then I noticed, I think around October to early November, the price started to move up like crazy, and then I hadn't traded anything really at that time, so I bought in a little bit, got pretty lucky. I did a little bit of research, and I realized there was the U.S. Senate meeting November 18th, I believe, and the price just went nuts after that. I think that day it went from like low 400s, mid 400s, like that night or the next day I went up to like 760 or like high 700s. It was crazy. I remember that, and that's how I got into it.
So you just decided you wanted to be self-employed and be your own boss and start trading crypto?
Yeah, I just did it, part-time initially. I did it, my boss would catch me at work reading charts. I'd be sitting in front of a computer all day with the dual screens. I'd have one on crypto and one on work. I'd be talking on the phone, helping a client like buy or sell a house or, do a loan, something like that. And then on the other screen, I'd have, the price of BTC or, whatever I was trading at the time. So I kind of just did a little bit of both, and I eventually got comfortable with it and I just quit and just do it full time.
Nice. So you mentioned that you in banking you experienced you got disgusted, I guess you said, with how banking systems work and how the feds print money. For those of for those that are listening, could you fill us in as to what that means? How does the Fed operate and print money like that? What disgusted you so much?
Sure. So what they do is they're just basically, the Fed is a third-party company. They're not even the government. There's nothing federal about them. They're not any more federal than FedEx. So they just came up with that clever name. So basically, the Fed prints all the government's money, and they pretty much they're paying the government off. They pretty much just own some key officials in the government. Because they control the money supply, they can control the politicians, or part of them, some of them, and it's just not in the best interest of the American public. So that really disgusted me. Basically what they're doing is they're just printing money on paper. It's not backed by anything. It's essentially worthless. It's only worth something because people think it's worth something. So that's why you get the dollar devaluing like it is right now. And I actually have something I'll pull up here on my screen share of the cost of living from 2000 now, and this kind of will blow your mind. Yeah. And you realize how bad that is. I'll pull it up on screen share right now. So. Yeah,
and essentially what these dollar bills are is like an IOU. It says on the dollar bill this paper is public tender for all debts, and essentially what you're doing is you're exchanging IOUs that are backed by the labor of the country. So it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it's a promissory note. I got it pulled up on my screen now, so you can see back in January 2000. Gallon of gas is $1.27. March 2014, $3.51, 176% increase, and it just goes on and on.
And that's not even like in Hawaii. We're looking at like $4.25 a gallon prices of gas. Like this is just a general average over the United States, I'm guessing, right? Because
there's
other pockets of the country like where we're at, where we're just getting fisted.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's interesting because I grew up in California my whole life. I just moved here about a month ago, and gas is the same price in Hawaii as it is in California. So it's kind of interesting. So the reason is the taxes. California taxes are pretty absurd.
And everything in Hawaii is, for those that don't know, is imported. They're not self-sustainable. At one point we were like in the early 1900s, but since we moved away from agriculture and there's no oil reserves out here, absolutely everything is imported. So you get taxed on everything. So it's pretty surprising to hear that California has the same pricing of gas as out here does, when there's such a long distance to travel.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot of things that are more expensive. I'd say the only thing that's more expensive, I'm on the Big Island, so real estate's cheaper than where you're at, of course. But over here, man, I love it here, dude. I would say rent across the board is probably 30 to 50% less on the Big Island compared to where I'm from. I'm from Northern California, Sonoma County area, and other than that, there's really not a lot over here. It's more expensive. A couple random things like milk, certain types of meats, and one or two other things, but for the most part, less expensive to live here.
You're like the mecca of cheapness in Hawaii. Cost of living on Oahu, where I'm at, is so much more. Like I think you mentioned that you're paying like $1,800 for your place for a 2-bedroom with like an acre and 1,400 square feet plus a giant balcony or whatever. I'm over here on Oahu, and shit's much more expensive. We're looking at like you couldn't even get a 1-bedroom apartment for that price in Honolulu, or for it's like $1,800 for like a 1-bedroom, a decent 1-bedroom apartment in Waikiki. Maybe you might be able to find something for like $1,400, but it's not very likely. All agriculture is imported over there. You got farms and shit, so it's much cheaper comparatively. So could you bring up that chart again? Sorry, we didn't talk about it. You just showed the cost of oil essentially and gas.
Sure.
And so essentially this is value, right? This is what you're paying for. You're exchanging value for value, and this is the devaluation of the dollar, more or less in visual terms. So
yep, across the board on the bottom in yellow right there, it highlights it. They call it the PCE deflator, or the Fed's preferred measure. From January 2000 to March 2014, across the board, if you average everything across, it's 31.65% less for your dollar, essentially. And some things are a lot more dramatic.
And what's interesting about that, especially, is the minimum wage. It hasn't raised nationally in that time at all. You're still getting paid essentially the same for your work and your time as you were in that time, and even in the 90s. So while the money you're making is the same, the value of that money is deflating tremendously at a rate of what is here 32% nearly, which is pretty. That's a lot of money. That's a large percentage. That's a huge statistically relevant sample right there. I mean, you've got a lot of different industries, a lot of different things they're comparing, and what's crazy to me is, or not crazy, but what's alarming to me is the annual healthcare spending and the college tuition. I mean, those are what are perceived to be the two biggest necessities in today's world is having good healthcare and the expensive healthcare, and also an education. Everyone says that you need to be educated to advance in this world, and here they are preaching that and then charging you twice as much for it in that 14-year period. There's more colleges popping up and more access to education than there ever has been. But yet, because of the increased supply, which generally, economically speaking, if there's a larger supply, then it's going to dilute the price. But this is saying the opposite. College tuition.
Yeah, and you don't realize that in your everyday day-to-day lives, because the dollar is a dollar and you see a 20 and it's a 20, right? But you don't realize it until you go to buy something. So that's when it's real dramatic, and it's kind of laughable when you pull up the price of BTC from when it was, first even being tracked on. If you go to Bitstamp on Bitcoin Wisdom and look at it on like a 3-day chart, it's just laughable if you compare the Bitcoin price to the dollar. It's just pretty amazing.
Yeah, while the dollar is devaluating tremendously, Bitcoin is increasing in value at an alarming rate in comparison. And I say alarming in a seemingly negative context, but it's actually in this case very positive. and that's largely why I got into crypto myself, is because of the autonomy of and control over your own assets and your own wealth, and the ability to store and transfer value with complete control. But also because of the value, because of the increasing value relative to the dollar, whereas you have no control over the value of the dollar from an individual perspective. You have no control over the Bitcoin price either, but because of the scarcity of it and the nature of it, and the lack of money printing ability, it's going to go up intrinsically in value, whereas the dollar is going to go down until the Federal Reserve just decides to stop printing money and stop taxing people for that money printing.
Right, and that's the other thing too. People don't realize is a lot of your money that you're paying in income tax actually goes to pay the Federal Reserve to print that money.
Yeah, it's not going to these social programs that we think they are.
Right.
Yeah. And all these people that are out there preaching about how bad welfare is and how their tax dollars are going to pay for welfare. No, man. That's part of it, but it's mostly going back to the Federal Reserve, this private entity of central banking systems that are making money off of you every hour you work, every day you're being paid from a corporation. My money's going to pay this private entity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I think a lot of us that are in crypto kind of have these same experiences and have the same point of view. I mean, not necessarily everybody, but everybody that's kind of in our generation. I'm 29 years old. I think you're around my age, right?
Yeah, I'm 29.
Oh, sweet. But say 1985.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of us are have this similar viewpoint where we see this big disparity in income, and we see the cause of it, and we see what's really happening, and we want out. We want a different way. And this, fortunately for us, cryptocurrencies came along, and Bitcoin came along, and altcoins came along, and there's this way that we can have autonomy and control, and no longer be a part of this crooked system.
Yeah.
So now that we've kind of explained a little bit about about the devaluation of the dollar and what's going on, and why we both got into crypto, what do you perceive as the future? How can crypto advance? How can we become mainstream, as it were, without kind of sacrificing our integrity and what we got in the game for, without giving up control over crypto, without licensing and measures like BitLicense? What do you see and perceive as the future, and how we can advance and avoid this stuff?
Definitely real world adoption. I think being able to use it for everyday things, and it would be awesome to get completely off the dollar. I would love that. If you could just go to a coffee shop, scan your phone, boom, pay with crypto. Maybe pay with BTC, maybe pay with something that's faster, like syncs real fast, Blackcoin, Veracoin, something like that. And yeah, just real world adoption, I would say, would be probably the first thing, and that would be really, I think, beneficial to the whole community as far as mainstream goes. Some people are talking about how Wall Street should get involved and more money, and as a trader, you're going to want profits, is why you're here for the most part. But I'm not convinced that that's essentially the best thing for the community, because we kind of know how they play their games and run the show, and for the price, it'd be great. But yeah, I would say real world adoption, definitely getting the scamminess out of the system completely. That would be probably top 3, I would say. Coming up with a little bit better way to screen things, not just adding every coin that's on the market because people asked you to do it. And I would say just make it more practical, just spreading the word for people that, the dollar isn't the only option out there, and maybe just, talking to friends and family about crypto, showing them how it works, and yeah, that's a start.
Yeah, I would agree with you completely in all facets. I think real world adoption is the key. I think for altcoins, because everything is traded in Bitcoin pairings right now, for the most part. I mean, Moolah has a few altcoin USD pairings. I think the Vault Satoshi might have a few as well. But I think we need to get these alts kind of paired with the fiat currency and not have to rely solely on Bitcoin, and get people into Bitcoin first to get to alts, because when Bitcoin goes down, you see all the volume flood out of these alts. You see people that are trying to short Bitcoin, that are trying to retain value for their dollar or for their coins, and you see altcoins are the ones that are suffering the most. So I think with regards to altcoins, particularly, real world adoption is definitely there, or not there, but it's a major factor. But I think before that, we need to kind of pair with some USD pairings, and also make these exchanges accountable. I mean, right now there's no accountability. They can do whatever they want with complete autonomy, and we're gonna sit there and play their game and buy into these, not necessarily buy into these coins, but use their exchange and pay their fees because we have no other alternatives. And I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, maybe in a week or two, the release date is, but BlockTech and Bryce Weiner are coming out with altmarket.com, which they're going to be only handling coins that are vetted, that are what they perceive to be good coins with good developers, and I think that's a good start. I think they're also planning on having fiat integration as well. So I think something like that with a trusted entity that running it, that isn't just out there purely for profit, is going to be a good start in how we can kind of protect ourselves and change the game. What are your thoughts on something like alt market?
Yeah, it's a great idea. I think fiat to alts is a great idea, because you won't have so much fluctuations tied to BTC, because alts are tied to BTC almost kind of like on a rope. When BTC goes up, the alts kind of in general get more volume. BTC goes down, kind of pulls it down with it. So if you threw in fiat to altcoins, that would be awesome. I know Moolah has a couple options for that, but it doesn't really appear, when I checked, it didn't have a lot of liquidity. It didn't seem that practical. Yeah. But that's definitely a step in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, and something that I want to share with you guys, as far as getting real world adoption, my parents have a 6.5 acre estate with a main 2,400 square foot main house, an in-law suite, and a guest house on Orcas Island in the San Juan Islands in Washington that myself and my stepdad built. I think we finished it like 5 years ago. My stepdad's a contractor. I worked with them every summer since I was like 14 till I was like 21, and then I kind of helped them when they were building this house on Orcas. They're actually going to be selling their house for Bitcoin, and will be the first home sale, a real estate sale, to accept altcoins. They're going to accept Pinkcoin and Synccoin. And I'm going to go there on September 3rd, so I guess 4 days from now I'm getting on a flight to Seattle, and I'm going to the San Juan Islands, to Orcas Island, and myself and we have a realtor, got other entities involved, and we're going to get a lot of publicity, shoot out some press releases, and we're going to sell this thing for Bitcoin and altcoins. And so that'll hopefully help get some more eyes on the altcoin world and show people that you can use this stuff for real world purchases that have a lot of value, for big purchases. So I'm pretty excited about this, about making this happen. This opportunity that my parents are willing to explore, and I think it's going to be really good for the altcoin world, for Pinkcoin, for Synccoin, and for Bitcoin. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's been I think roughly 4 home sales in the U.S. for Bitcoin, and there's been 0 for altcoins. So this will hopefully help booster altcoins, and hopefully bring some mainstream attention to the existence of these things. Because every time a home gets sold for Bitcoin, you see that shit on the front page of Wall Street Journal, you see it on New York Times, you see it on everywhere. So hopefully this will help add to that, and show some people that altcoins exist and that they are they're relevant.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. I think also, if we can get some more ATMs around this world, that'd be sweet. I know. I don't think America has very many of them. I know Canada seemed to be leading the way. I think one of the first ATMs in Canada had like $1 million run through it in the first month out of a coffee shop. That's crazy.
Yeah. We have a couple of our developers of Pinkcoin who live in Toronto, Failed, Transium, Mad Max, and Crypto Owl, and I know they use that ATM in Toronto all the time. I think Mad Max Andrew has probably run through like $25,000 he's purchased in Bitcoin through the ATM over the last like 4 months, and he loves it. It's so much more convenient than going to Coinbase or getting on exchange or using local Bitcoins. It's so much safer. It's a great option to have, and I think a lot of people are starting to see the value. But unfortunately, I actually have a couple friends out here that own they own 25 ATMs in and around Honolulu, and I've been trying to get them to add some Bitcoin ATMs, but they're just kind of afraid of the regulation, and they don't really know enough information. Despite me trying to forward the relevant information to them, they're just a little nervous, and they see it as a big upfront cost with little gain, despite how revolutionary it is. There's none available in Honolulu, and there's not many available in any states really. I think New York has one. I think Washington has one. I know Victoria and Vancouver and BC have a bunch. Toronto has a bunch. But yeah, I agree with you. I think if we can get this more easily accessible to the mainstream, to everyday people, and they can see a way to use it and utilize it and get cash, essentially get fiat when they need it to buy the things they can't buy with Bitcoin and altcoins, it's going to be very, very, very advantageous for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, Russell. Well, I'm going to wrap this up in a minute, but I wanted to give you the floor to say anything, to shine a light on anything you're doing, and to have some final words here.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm just happy to be here, and if you guys see me around on Twitter, feel free to ask me if you have any questions. If you want to collaborate on anything, let me know. Like I said, I'm more of a math and TA guy, so if you want to bring something to the table and maybe we can share, come up with some ideas, that'd be cool. Or if you're just busy and you don't have time to trade, I do manage a small portfolio for a couple of people, or if you just want to hold the funds yourself, I'll just give you tips here or there, and then you just tip me out when you make some money. So I'm here, and you can follow me on Twitter, RTGZX10R, and yeah.
Yo, tell everyone what that screen name is about, by the way, because you mentioned it to me earlier, and I was confused. It's kind of long. It's It's one of the more random handles you see on Twitter. So where'd that come up? Where'd you come up with that?
It's my initials, and then it's also a street bike that I rode. I just didn't really plan on getting any kind of exposure on Twitter. I just kind of made it when I first got into this, and first thing came to mind. So the ZX10R it's a Kawasaki street bike.
All right, cool, man. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, man. Thanks for being on the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This will be available on Stitcher and iTunes within the week. This is the very first installment of the Pink Power Hour, where we will shine a light on good people in crypto, talk sports, talk poker, talk politics, whatever the hell comes to mind. And we'll have a wide range of guests in the coming weeks. This whole podcast is brought to you by Pinkcoin, and please go out there and support the good coins and the good people and the good developers that you guys enjoy and like. And hopefully Pinkcoin is in there. Me personally, I'm a fan of Pink. I'm a fan of Sync. I'm a fan of VRC's devs. There's a bunch of other ones that I like, but I just encourage you to, like we mentioned throughout the show, please do your own research. Please invest what you can lose, and give my man Russell Taylor over there a follow. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Pink Power Hour, brought to you by Pinkcoin.